Now maybe you can hear me. Fuck. Ridiculous, man. There we go. Ridiculous. Let's take this little base over. Who's gonna log in today? Okay. Alright, that boy team is Maple. Never mind the PC. I'm telling you this. Buying none of that shit. I got paid and spent all my money. I'm broke. I got bills to pay. Nope, same controller. My money had to go pay bills. I have no idea when I start. Like, I'm waiting for my background check to clear, and then I get a text. Let me know when I start. Surely sometime next week. I would think. Hopefully they pay weekly and not bi-weekly, but it is what it is either way. I didn't ask. I'll tell you during orientation. Let's go, it's 15 an hour. $15 an hour. Hell, that's just starting out. It's pretty good to start out. Yeah, but the temp agency ain't reliable. This job is. This job ain't going nowhere. I can move up in this place. There's a tree at around this bitch. Tree at the main one. Don't have a base. Got raided. Go ahead and log in. Let's build one. Perfect timing. Oh, shit. Get sniped at. Got to pay for the PS5, not keeping it for free. Rogue said he'd pay it. He lied. Round 5. I knew it was coming. Now where am I? It's hot in here. I did. I'm gonna go build my outpost. Start to cycle shit. I want some stuff. I die along the way. Yep, those guys are gonna kill me. Guys on the roof there. I'm just letting it auto run. They didn't see me again. See the Foo Fighters all bent out of shape. Trump played that song to bring RFK out. They all crying. We are not affiliated with the Trump. Like, nobody thought you was, bro. Who even thought that? Some fucking dumb fuck liberal started messaging. I can't believe you allowed that. Because they're dumb. Nobody else thought that. They just thought, oh, it's a song playing. Like, what the fuck? Trump doesn't give a fuck about getting their permission or anything. That's when you know you got money. You're just like, let them sue me. Fuck them. And they're probably not going to sue because they can't win anyway. Outpost. I'm gonna wait here for Duckhead. You think he'll show up? Will that boy show?
Times she didn't mention the border. Last night, Kamala mentioned my name, I think, 21 times. She didn't mention the border. She didn't mention inflation. She didn't mention anything but my name over and over and over again. She blamed me for the border. I haven't been there in 4 years. I think you saw it. I had the safest border, the best border we've ever had. She blamed me for the border. They lied so much. They lied about everything. She said I was involved with something called Project 25. I don't even know what the hell it is. Last night, Kamala mentioned my name, I think, 21 times. She didn't mention the border. She didn't mention inflation.
Kamala. I'll be back. Well, now what? Why do you think Kamala has it in the bag? Based on what? What are you basing that on? Your own mind? That fucking works. Fucking nuts. Larson, what are you basing that on, Larson?
With Coinbase, you can trade Bitcoin in 6 easy steps. Create and verify your Coinbase account. Add your payment method, like a bank account, debit card, or wire. Select Buy from a list of trade options. Find Bitcoin. Enter an amount you're comfortable trading. Then finalize your order. It's that easy. Get started at Coinbase.com or on the Coinbase mobile app.
Coinbase.
We're back in the 2024 lead and a very busy calendar. Had fewer than 11 weeks until the November election, 18 days until the first presidential debate between former President Trump and Vice President Harris. A lot can happen between now and then as these candidates make significant plays in key battleground states. In fact, with the exception of a debate or two, maybe three, we'll see. Really, what happens and what matters right now, where the candidates go, what kind of money they spend, and we've seen it throughout the course of this week. Look at this map. This is the CNN forecast, 270 to win. Where you see yellow states, those are the states that CNN rates as toss-up states, battleground states, the states where the candidates are focusing. How do you know they're focusing? Well, just watch where they've been. Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, leading up to the convention, much hit every single one of those yellow states. In prime time last night, before the vice president gave her speech, you saw the governor of North Carolina speaking. Man, the fog. in the 2024 lead and a very busy calendar ahead. Fewer than 11 weeks until the November election, 18 days until the first presidential debate between former President Trump and Vice President Harris. A lot can happen between now and then as these candidates make significant plays in key battleground states. In fact, with the exception of a debate or two, maybe three, we'll see. Really, what happens, what matters right now, where the candidates go, what kind of money they spend, and we've seen it throughout the course of this week. Look at this map. This is the CNN forecast, 270 to win. Where you see yellow states, those are the states that CNN rates as toss-up states, as battleground states, the states where the candidates are focusing. How do you know they're focusing? Well, just watch where they've been. Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, leading up to the convention, let's hit every single one of those yellow states. In prime time last night, before the vice president gave her speech, you saw the governor of North Carolina speaking, you saw a congresswoman from Georgia, you saw the governor of Michigan, you saw several key voices from Arizona. They know what they're doing. It's intentional, and they're not the only ones. The Trump campaign as well. Throughout the course of this week, think about where the former president has been. Well, he started the week off on Monday in Pennsylvania. Then he went up to Michigan. Then he went to North Carolina. Today, as we've seen and talked to Kristen Holmes and Elena Tree is on the ground for us in Nevada and Arizona. Where they're going tells the story. Wait, there's two others that I didn't talk about. Oh, yeah, J.D. Vance, in Valdosta, Georgia, and also in Kenosha, Wisconsin, earlier in the week. They're traveling because they know turning out those voters in those states matters enormously. Georgia, well, Joe Biden flipped that in 2020, only won that state by over 11,000 votes. What about Arizona? Just over 10,000 votes. Razor-thin margins. Every visit matters. Every dollar spent matters. What I'm talking about when we say dollars spent? Well, let me pull this up and show you the spending right now in terms of where things stand right now. Presidential spending in battleground states. Pennsylvania, obviously everybody talks about how all roads go through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Huge sums there, over $70 million for each campaign. But you tick through the 7 battleground states, tens of millions of dollars. They know those 7 states and possibly just tens of thousands of voters could decide this election, and that's where everybody's going all in. What do these types of ads look like? Well, let's take Nevada, where the former president just gave his remarks at a Tax on Tips event. This is what we actually saw from both campaigns.
Under Donald Trump, a violent crime wave, and Trump ordered MAGA extremists to kill the bipartisan border security bill. Trump just talks stuff. Kamala Harris is stuff.
Attention. President Trump is going to end all taxes on Social Security benefits and end all taxes on tips collected by service workers.
Let's get right back to our panel. Christy, I was struck when Tim Walz said this. Take a listen.
We got 76 days. That's nothing. There'll be time to sleep when you're dead. We're going to leave it on the field.
Just all in the whole coach thing there. That's a PTSD at some level. They're down this weekend. I'm not one to draw conclusions by any one or two things. We talked about the momentum. We talked about the spend that they already have out in terms of ad buys, hundreds of millions of dollars in reservations. Why aren't they out? We've seen the former president been blitzing all week this week.
I think they get a well-deserved break for a day or two. I'm pretty sure that...
Sleep till you're dead.
All right, but the other thing that there was a big theme of during the convention this past week was this is now the time not to rest on our laurels, but to get out and to have the people who are energized by this convention then bring it to the screens. There was a point at which Kerry Washington had everybody get out their phones and take a video and then basically send it to people to show that we're ready to do stuff. That was a theme, obviously, from Michelle Obama as well. So again, I think it's okay for them to take a 24 to 48 hour break while the rest of their millions of supporters get out there and contact some voters in their behalf.
And my sense is, like General Madigan on the campaign team don't actually have to get down. They're also candidates probably aren't actually picking this up. Post-campaign bumps, always when we talk about, usually tends to happen. Will we see it here? And do you think it matters overall?
We very well might. The Trump campaign didn't really get one, but it also was something you couldn't really measure because no sooner had everybody flown home from Milwaukee when the race got completely turned on its head. So whether or not convention bumps are a thing that happens this year, we don't know. We'll find out in the next couple of days. But I suspect she might get a small bump, if only because she is somewhat more undefined. If this had been a convention nominating Joe Biden, I don't know how much it would change. Voters know Donald Trump and they know how they felt about Joe Biden. But there are enough voters not sure how they felt about Kamala Harris. They probably weren't the folks that were staying up until 11 midnight watching it, but they may have seen clips and said, let me give her a second look. Wouldn't surprise me if you don't see some of those undecideds, at least briefly saying, I'm open to the idea of Kamala Harris.
Which raises the question, because the Trump campaign is competing for them as well right now. We were talking before the show, I was out with the former president on a couple of his battleground state trips. Have they gotten their footing back on some level, right? He's in all those states, he's doing all these events. Where are they right now? Because it's a key point. At the end of the convention, we're all looking around going, wow, I've never seen the Republican Party this unified. They felt like they were on a glide path to 270 plus a lot. Everything has changed. What hasn't is he still has a 50-50 at worst shot at winning. What about the campaign?
Yeah, the campaign is, I think, finding its footing once again. Obviously, President Biden had promised that he was going to stay in. There was no way getting out. And so to have that kind of flip on its script really did put everything aside. But I think when Vice President Harris named Walz, I think that kind of put everything back into perspective. We saw very strong pushback on his record, on the questions that his comments continue to raise. They were a little more prepared, I think, for that announcement and to come back and show the American people kind of more the truth of Governor Walz and where that lies. And I think that they're going to be just fine in pushing back, especially now that we saw so much fluff and not as much substance as we would have wanted to see from that convention.
And they clearly want him on a very specific message. You can see it throughout the that event that we saw earlier in Nevada, tax on tips, small event, talk about the policy. Which makes this interesting, and I'm asking you because we're both on the Hill together. There's kind of an under the radar story of
motherfuckers just stole Trump's idea
Trump's Bedminster Resort
and pretend they came up with it. And you know damn well they ain't going to actually do it.
Responsible for that January 6th prison choir song. Trump has been invited to speak. We don't know if he's going to speak. We talk about policies and message and contrast, and then you get this.
Yeah, look, I think when you're looking at what happened on January 6th, there were hundreds and hundreds of arrests made for violent activity and for absolute criminal activity that should have been made. What you subsequently saw was really aggressive prosecutions that went beyond the pale. Now, the Supreme Court has ruled 6-3, and not an ideological line, by the way. Justice Jackson joined the majority, Amy Coney Barrett joined the dissent, but saying that it was overzealous, that they were charged for things that they should not have been charged for. They had plucked this obscure financial crime and tried to charge all of these defendants with this to enhance the criticism, to enhance the pleas, and to enhance, ultimately, the sentences, throwing hundreds of cases into question. And so I think having a fundraiser to pay for some of those legal fees is an interesting take. It is receiving more attention, I think, than maybe the attention that was received when Vice President Harris told everybody to donate to the Minnesota Freedom Fund. So,
latter point is a political discussion. It's a fair political discussion to have. I think the thing I'm struck by, you try to pull me into the Sarbanes-Oxley debate, which I would absolutely love, not going to let it happen. But I understand the lawyer version of this, as you are. There would be a very good one. But from a political perspective, on this issue, doing anything related to it seems a little bit bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll notice he was invited. I don't know if the former president has decided to attend or not. I think there's a large contingency of America who believes what they saw was massive hypocrisy and difference in treatment between violent offenders at different locations. And so that is sympathetic to a portion of the country.
This was something the Democrats elevated a lot and want to elevate a lot during their convention.
Yeah, I think that is a very easy analysis of what's going on here. I do not believe that most people will see it at that level. I think the very top line contrast is something that the Harris campaign should be salivating over, which is they made the theme of felon versus prosecutor a main one of the convention. This allows them to talk about it again and again and again. Look at this. Not only is he a criminal himself, but he's actually standing up on behalf of these other criminals. That is who he is. That's not America. I mean, I would love to have that set up if I were them.
There you go.
We're not supposed to be out here. outside
There you go. Dude, they're so delusional. Like, they project everything, and they're acting like Republicans are freaking out, panicking. I'm just not seeing that. I'm seeing it from the Democrats, though. Like, I've been seeing it for months. Ever since that debate, they've been panicking, delusional. I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about anymore. Very strange. She just stole his idea.
I became a mom at 18. She just needed someone to be there.
Presidential nominee Kamala Harris portrayed herself as an underdog candidate and a fighter. She addressed her party's convention on this closing night here in Chicago. Right now, we're getting reaction to the vice president's speech from some undecided voters in the crucial battleground, Pennsylvania. Some Scary Tuckman's in Allentown. Scary, who's with you, and what are they saying about the speech?
Well, Anderson, we do come to you from Allentown in the heart of the beautiful Lehigh Valley in eastern Pennsylvania, and we are with 8 residents of Lehigh Valley who've been watching television with us tonight and watching Kamala Harris's speech. I do want to say they all have something in common, as you said, Anderson. None of these people before tonight have made a decision about who they will vote for in November. At least one person here before tonight wasn't sure she was going to vote at all because she doesn't like either of the candidates. Also, what they have in common, 5 of these people, they're all 5 of them loyal union members from the UAW local, United Auto Workers, here in the Lehigh Valley. So thank you all for being here. First thing I want to ask you, I want you to grade the speech. Okay? A is excellent, B above average, C average, D below average. I don't know what happens. Start with you. How do you grade the speech?
I gave her a B plus.
B.
B plus.
A.
B plus.
A.
C.
C. So mostly A's and B's with 1 C. I want to ask you why you made the decision you made. First of all, we start with Scott, who is the president of the UAW local here in the Lehigh Valley. Scott, what grade did you give it again?
B plus.
How come?
I gave her the high grade because I thought she looked very confident. I liked how she spoke from her heart. I liked her message of unity and the division that we have in America. I liked her fight for the middle class families.
Yeah, but it's all BS. That's the thing about her
Hey,
speech. It's just she just saying things.
She needed to go.
She don't believe any of it. And you got to be real dumb to buy her speech.
Do some of the things that she.
You can't trust that woman.
Lindsay, you're in sales. You're the person who wasn't sure she was going to vote for anybody, but you don't like either of these 2 candidates. I'll ask you more about that in a minute. But first, what grade did you give the speech?
I gave it a B.
How come?
I thought it was a good speech. I mean, she did what she was supposed to do. I liked that she was talked about her upbringing, made it feel a little more like personal. But yeah, I thought it was a good speech.
Okay, Andy, you're also in the UAW. You make cars and trucks for us Americans, so thank you for that, along with the rest of you. Your grade again was?
B plus.
And how come B plus?
I liked her plan for the middle class. My wife was a nurse. I'm an auto worker. The middle class you can get. I just felt like she should go a little more in depth, but I really understand you can't really go in depth in these speeches, but a little bit more would be.
Okay, Donna, is your mother
Yes.
Donna's a retired dental hygienist. Donna, what grade did you give again?
I gave her an A.
And how come?
Because she hit all the points that I wanted to know about. I wanted to know more about her economic policies, her foreign policy. I know she couldn't go into depth about that, but I mean, I felt that she looked very presidential. She sounded presidential, and I think she's going to be a unifier.
Okay, by the way, going into tonight, Andy was 60-40 with Kamala Harris. You were 50-50, which is interesting. We'll talk more about that in a second. Patrick, also with the UAW. Grade you gave it again?
A B plus.
How come B plus?
Well, she was very confident in what she was saying. She showed leadership ability and understanding of the topic at hand. But again, she didn't go in depth. I did like what she said about what she's going to try to do for the middle class, tax rate floors, which would be very nice, but still.
Voting for a Democrat, then you don't get a tax break. You gotta be dumb as fuck.
Also with the UAW, the grade you gave it again?
I gave her.
How come?
I was looking for policy information. I really wanted to see some substantive policy information. I thought she did give enough. I like what she gave on military, what she wants to do for our veterans, and with border control. I just think that she has a lot of good ideas, and she's very well spoken. I think she was very professional.
Sabrina is your daughter, and also a UAW member, looking to make cars and trucks for America. Your grade again?
A.
How come in?
I think she was very well spoken. She was very clear on what her policies were and elaborated on them with the time given, and the fact that she wants to bring back rights for women.
And Brian, you're in real estate. You're a nice guy too, like everyone in this panel, and you gave the only C. How can you give a C?
She wasn't clear enough on the policies. She did speak a lot of her personal history, which was great, but I still don't feel like she's ready. I feel like more so piece of weight. I don't want to, let's say, vote for someone that is a backup.
Well, what I'm going to ask you shortly, and you're obviously not ready to vote for Kamala Harris, I'm sure about that. But what I want to ask all of you all together is, like I said, none of you were ready to make a commitment to any candidate in November. Please raise your hand right now if you're now ready to make a commitment after today.
Are you Chinese?
Yes. Ah, great. Wow. I'm just kind of surprised about it. We haven't rehearsed this. I'm going to make that. 7 of you are now ready. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris.
Andy?
Yeah. Well,
Yes,
I voted for her also.
Sean? Sean?
Yes, I comment.
Sabrina? Patrick?
Kamala.
Brian?
Trump.
Trump. And finally, Lindsay.
Still probably not better than he.
No, probably you don't like either of them. What led to you all making a decision? Was it that decisive of the meeting? Yeah.
Yeah, I really, as I said before, I really like her confidence. She's really seemed presidential. She seemed very confident. Like I said, she spoke from her heart. I like how she told you in her background that she struggled, her mother struggled, in a middle-class family.
Don, you were 50-50 going into the evening. What made you make a decision?
Well, I've been doing research since she was, the nominee, and I like what I'm reading, and here I've been watching the convention, and her speech was just, that just sold me.
And Brian, you decided on Trump. What about tonight? Because when we met last week, you were undecided. What about tonight made you decide you were looking?
Her speech was great. I like how she went into personal history again. It was just not moving for me.
But it made you think that Trump's a better candidate than her.
He's here for it. He's a little bit more aggressive. She's aggressive in her way, but I think she would be aggressive in the next time.
So Trump over Harris for you, Harris over Trump for most of you. What I will tell you, 70. Anderson, back to you.
Gary, definitely thanks. That was fascinating.
It's fascinating because instead of talking about the Trump curious, which we often talk about, we have Kamala curious.
There are some people who still want to know more. They're not all the way there, and I think, that is going to be an interesting dynamic in some of these battleground states where there are still swing districts. I don't necessarily believe we can have wild swings the way we used to, given gerrymandering, etc. But there are people who want to know more.
One of the things that was said there's no doubt about that one of the disadvantages she has, and Scott's talked about it a lot, is she's the vice president. So what did she do as vice president? The advantage she has is people don't know a lot, and they're getting new information, and that new information, certainly the way she told her story tonight, the way she shared her views, was, I think, important. The two things that I want to mention is, I think that the line that probably tested best in this whole speech was, "I will be a president for the whole country," because that's such a contrast with the way Trump presented.
And nobody believes it.
Was a paean to America.
And Trump says the same fucking thing.
The idea of denigrating the country, which has been so part and parcel of Trump's. I think people like to think of America as a positive place, and that was the tenor of the end of her speech, and I think it was very powerful.
Yeah, if you don't know nothing, you're a complete fucking buffoon who don't fucking pay attention to nothing. Yeah, you loved it. I'm sure it was great. Reality is, she's full of shit. Unity. My ass, they've been pushing division for fucking 8 years. Fuck you talking about unity? Who's falling for this? You gotta be dumb as fuck. Is there a video of them freaking out about RFK yet? Or is that? How could he endorse Trump? Oh, God. I'm so angry.
Yes, there is an app that allows you to see a map of registered sex offenders in your area, and that's called the Newsbreak app. And you're going to be so shocked when you see around your area, there's a sex offender literally.
You can see us at 2 will be in Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets. It's been a crazy day, and the left and the right hand flip. That's what I'm going to show you that in a second. First, let me show you what Bobby Kennedy did today. Bobby Kennedy came out and he said this. Watch.
Ago, in April of 2023, I launched my campaign for President of the United States. Tyranny, as a Democrat, the party of my father, my uncle, the party which I pledged my own allegiance to long before I was old enough to vote. First, their Democratic convention at the age of 6 in 1960. Democrats were the champions of the Constitution, of civil rights. The Democrats stood against authoritarianism, against censorship, against colonialism, imperialism, and unjust wars. We were the party of labor, of the working class. The Democrats were the party of government transparency and the champion of the environment. Our party was a bulwark against big money interests and corporate power. True to its name, it was the party of democracy. As you know, I left that party in October because it had departed so dramatically from the core values that I grew up with. It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money. Wanted to abandon democracy by canceling the primary to conceal.
Well, I got me a free base.
Of the sitting president. I left the party to run as independent. The mainstream of American politics and journalism derived my decision. Conventional wisdom said it would be impossible even to get on the ballot as an independent because each state poses an insurmountable tangle of arbitrary rules for collecting signatures. I would need over 1 million signatures, something no presidential candidate immediately had to achieve. And then I'd need a team of attorneys and millions of dollars to handle all the legal challenges from the DNC. The naysayers told us that we were finding a glass version of impossible. But the first thing I want to tell you is that we proved them wrong. We did it because beneath the radar of mainstream media organs, We inspired a massive independent political movement. More than 100,000 volunteers sprang into action, hoping that they would reverse our nation's decline. Many worked 10-hour days, sometimes in blizzards and blazing heat. They sacrificed family time, personal commitments, and sleep months after.
I want to remind you, when Bobby was on my show the first time, apparently most of the people have missed that video or that interview. I told him it's a fool's errand that he's running as a Democrat. There's a reason why they have. I can't get excited about your campaign. I can't even get that interested in it because there's a reason why they have super delegates. Look what they did to Bernie. And that's so you can't become the nominee. And he even said, no, we're going to do it. And I'm a Democrat. My dad was a Democrat. My uncle was a Democrat. My whole family has been Democrats all our lives. And he even made the case that the Democratic Party was bad for the party. He even made that. So he's been disabused of that idea because he ran and tried to run a presidential campaign in the Democratic Party. And then he ran as an independent, and they're still suing him. So they took him to New York this week. He was in court in New York and Pennsylvania. And then they rigged the judges. The judges are DNC judges. And so the judges don't even let him testify. They screwed it. So he's gotten a good dose of the fascism that the Democratic Party is pushing. I've said this, I'll say it again, the most anti-democratic Democratic Party in the history of our country. And so now he's been woken up. And so I just wanted to make that point, that I told him that he was wishful thinking, and now here he is, his mind right. He got disabused of that, and now he sees things clearly. So all right, so let's finish the rest of this.
I'm energized by a shared vision of a nation, even with its divisions. They set up tables at churches and farmers' markets. They canvassed door to door. In Utah and in New Hampshire, volunteers collected signatures in snowstorms. Convincing each supporter to stop in the frigid cold, take off their gloves, and run silently. During the heat wave, a tall, athletic volunteer who cheerfully told me that he had lost 25 pounds collecting signatures in 117 degree heat. Effort, young Americans donated their lunch money, and senior citizens gave up their Social Security checks. Our 50 state organization collected those millions of signatures in our over-election campaign in American political history has ever done that. And so I want to thank all of those dedicated volunteers and congratulate the campaign staff who coordinated this enormous logistical feat. Your accomplishments were regarded as impossible. You carried out that last album. You pulled off a miracle. You achieve what all the country said could never be done. You have my deepest gratitude, and I'm never going to forget that. Not just for what you did for my campaign, but for the sacrifices you made because you loved our country. You showed everyone that democracy is still possible. It continues to survive in the press and the activists and human energies that still thrive beneath the canvas of neglect and of official and institutional corruption. Tell you that I will all your efforts to go to waste. I'm here to tell you that I will leverage your tremendous accomplishments to serve the ideals that we share, the ideals of peace, of prosperity, of freedom, of health, all the ideals that motivated my campaign. I'm here today to describe the path forward that you'll open with your commitment and with your hard labors.
So he goes on to say, so here Mr. Truth Ultra is going to lay it out. He's not terminating his campaign. He's only suspending it in 10 battleground states in order to benefit Donald Trump. In a nutshell, RFK is staying on the ballot in states where his presence hurts Kamala, but he's removing himself from states where it hurts Trump.
See, they didn't want to remove him in Michigan. They didn't want to remove him.
Over Democrats. This is absolutely brilliant. But this announcement revealed something very important. The 10 battleground states will be the states ripe with most fraud. I'm eager to learn which states he drops out in. He's also said that Trump and Harris could end up in the electoral tie, resulting in him becoming president. So let's move on.
In good conscience, ask my staff and volunteers working their long hours, or ask my donors to keep giving when I cannot honestly tell them that I have a real path to the White House. Furthermore, our polling consistently showed that by staying on the battleground states, I would likely hand the election over to the Democrats, with whom I disagree on the most existential issues, and chronic disease. I want everyone to know that I am not terminating my campaign. I am simply suspending it and not ending it. My name, my name will remain on the ballot in most states. You live in a blue state, you vote for me without harming or helping President Trump or Vice President Harris. The states, the same will apply. I encourage you to vote for me. And if none of you do vote for me, for the major party candidates win 270 votes, which is quite possible. In fact, polling shows them tying at 269 to 269. And I conceivably still end up in the White House in a contingent election. But
delusional.
In about 10 battleground states, where my presence would be a spoiler with my name, restarted that process and urged voters not to vote for me. It's with a sense of victory and not defeat that I'm suspending campaign activities.
So there you have it. Guess what? During his speech, CNN cut away from his speech as he was explaining how the DNC rigged the primary. Candidate with one who didn't receive
Waiting on you to log in, be a man.
And how the media covered up for it and censored him. CNN cut away. And what did CNN do? They bring on some bastard first cousin of his. Let's say how Bobby's wrong to do this and how his father would be rolling over in his grave. No, JFK and RFK Sr. would be rolling over in their grave in what has become of the Democratic Party.
Right
now, what this means is that the Democrats have fully become the party of George W. Bush. They're anti-freedom, they're anti-democratic, they're rigging primaries, they're using lawfare against their political opponents.
Oh, get you a
They're
woman to
getting
clean
people
it.
Kicked off the back. They're the exact
Lord.
opposite of Democrats. Pro-war and anti-worker. And they're pro-censorship. The hallmark of dictators and authoritarians. And that if you watch this Democratic convention, it was all run on Trump hate. That was it. Most these don't have anything. They have Trump hate. That's it. Our billionaires are better than their billionaires. That was their argument. So here, so CNN is evil. You know, I had two producers from CNN want to come to my show on Friday, and because they want to do a documentary on the left, and I was like, no, you can't come. Then they went at the DNC, they wanted to interview me, and they kept reaching out. I was like, no, CNN's evil. It's them at all. I get out of being on CNN, nothing. I'm more popular than CNN is. So here, he's going to make the same point. Watch this.
Instead of showing us her substance and character, the DNC and its media organs engineered a surge of popularity for Vice President Harris based upon, nothing.
Nothing.
No policies.
Based on
no
nothing.
interviews. No debates. Only smoke and mirrors. All balloons in a highly produced Chicago circus. There in Chicago, a string of Democratic speakers mentioned Donald Trump 147 times just on the first day. Oh, who needs a policy when you have Trump to hate? In contrast, at the RNC convention, President Biden was mentioned only twice in 4 days.
So they cut away from that. CNN did not want you to see any of that. And that's 100% true and accurate. So here, Kanoka the Great makes a point. He says, Democrat megadonor Reid Hoffman, we showed you Reid Hoffman. He was the one who said, well, anyway, he runs the Democratic Party. He's one of those guys. He's the billionaire that Democratic megadonor Reid Hoffman and Ron Conway's Clear Choice PAC sued to remove Robert Kennedy Jr. from the ballot, stripping millions of his voters of their choice. This led Kennedy to form a unity party with President Trump. Let's be clear about what's happening. The Democratic Party, which lectures the nation about voter suppression and protecting democracy, disenfranchised millions of American voters. But dictators do. The thing that they claim Trump is, the Democratic Party is today. They have all the bad things that George W. Bush had and Dick Cheney, and then some worse. Here is Federal Election Commission, Clear Choice Act 8. Ronald Conway, Reid Hoffman. Yeah, okay. So, here RFK says he's going to join Trump on the campaign. Watch this.
I'm given the chance to fix the chronic disease crisis and reform our food production. I promise that within 2 years, we will watch chronic disease burden lift dramatically.
He's going to be an environmentalist. He's going to go after big agri. Go after big agriculture. He's going to be an environmentalist. He talked about in this speech about how 50% of American kids are overweight or obese. You know, in Japan, it's 2%. And he's got a plan to fix it. We eat garbage. Our food supply is poison. I've just woken up to this since I started following a Midwestern doctor's Substack. I found out all about seed oils. Seed oils are in everything. Seed oils are poison. Oils are poison. You should only be eating avocado oil or olive oil or ghee. And fat's not. And that whole thing about fat is bad for you is a lie. Cholesterol, it's a lie. Okay, so anyway, that's another segment. But he really is going to do something.
Americans healthy again. Within 4 years, America will be a healthy country. Longer, more resilient, bigger and happier. I won't fail in doing this. Ultimately, the future, however it happens, is in God's hand. As the American voters and those of President Trump. When Trump is elected and honors his word, a chronic disease that now is in bankruptcy the country will disappear. This is a spiritual journey for me. Reached my decision through deep prayer. Knows logic. And I asked myself, as I make as my chances to save America's children and restore national health. If I refuse this opportunity, I would not be able to look myself in the mirror. I would save lives of countless children. This country's chronic disease epidemic. I'm 70 years old. I may have a decade. Imagine that President Harris would allow me or anyone these dire problems. After 8 years of President Harris, it's for me to fix the problem will be out of my reach forever. He's told me that he wants this to be his latest. I believe that this time he will follow through. His son, his biggest donors, his closest friends, and all support this objective. The Trump campaign will be a difficult sacrifice for children of worthwhile. There's even the small chance of saving these kids. The only thing that will save our country and our children if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other. That's why I launched my campaign to unify America. We'll make such an enduring mark on the character of our nation, much because of any particular policies that they promoted, but because they were able to found a lot for our country by our sense of ourselves as a national community, out of my ideals. Their love into the intentions and hearts of ordinary Americans. By a national populist movement of Americans, blacks and whites, Hispanics, rural Americans, affection and love, and I hope a culture of kindness continue to radiate among Americans in the spirit in which I ran my campaign and to bring into the campaign President Trump. Vitriol, polarization, I will be able to values that unite us. Is that we could achieve if only we weren't at each other's throats. Unifying theme for all Americans. That we all love our children. All united on that issue now. And we give them the protection, the health, and the future that they deserve. Very much.
So, the Republican Party is now a party of environmentalism. So I'm going to show you in just a second that when Bobby got introduced by Trump at the rally today, Arizona, they cheered for him, and they cheered for him saying he's going to clean up the food supply. He's going to take on big agribusiness, big agriculture. They cheered for him. He's cheering on an environmentalist. Things have, so that is an amazing story. That's the inspiring Bobby Kennedy that he can be. The guy who can bring people together. Now, the problem, the thing that kept me from getting on board Bobby Kennedy's was his stance on Israel-Palestine. You know, and I say if you can't, you have to be able to draw the line at a genocide, which is what's happening, or some people call it ethnic cleansing. have us there. Well, now you know what I've been saying, that Trump is often up to the top of his rhetoric, like he did with Kim Jong Un in North Korea, and then he brings it around. So he does that, so he creates space for himself to get a settlement, right? Just like Nixon could spend his whole career as a red baiter. He went and got friendly relations with China. And they said only someone like Nixon could do that. If somebody to the left did it, they would be calling the communists. So my hope, my cross your fingers sliver of a hope, is that that's what Trump is doing with Israel, and that he's going to he likes to force a deal. They're both on the same page when it comes to ending war in Ukraine now. That's what Bobby says. And Bobby and Trump says today, he said he wants to obliterate the deep state. So I'm going to get to that. But this is, so there's other people starting to agree with my opinion that the Republicans their chance to force a deal in Israel-Palestine than the Democrats. So other people, so that's been my contention. People are starting to come and look around. Regular mainstream journalists. You can see us on tour. We'll be in Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta. Jacksonville, Florida, 10th.
Bobby. Oh, Bobby. Yeah, log in, be a man. We're running from it. Play on Xbox. Right there in the corner. I'm on testing branch. This is an update. You never get on.
How many advisor positions are you considering for RFK Jr.?
You get the microphone. I'm just going to go right now, and we're heading out to Arizona. But he's really a terrific guy. I've had a long-term friendship with him. He's a very talented person. It's an honor. He just
I don't know yet. They gotta let me know.
Really is. He's very popular. He's very smart. He's a great family, wonderful family, and so I'm going to say hello to him now.
I'll let you know when I know.
He said he's going to stay on the ballot in 4
Wait on the background check.
Well, I think they're trying to get off that. We'll see. I mean, they have to work it out. I think having your support is. Policies. Is that to help you well, I think so. He's an expected person. Not everybody agrees with everything he says, but that's true with everybody. But he's a very respected person. He's really a very beloved person in many ways. I mean, I think, frankly, if the Democrats had treated him very badly, and then they ended up treating Biden the same way as they treated him, but they treated him very badly. I think if he ran in the Democratic primary, he would have beaten Biden. That's my opinion. But they wouldn't let us run. I mean, they came up with obstacles that were impossible. They got that 60% of the vote to run, and they came up with things that were crazy. But they didn't want him running. I think if he would have run in the Democrat primary, I think he would have won. I think he would have beaten Biden.
That at least 5 agents have been put on leave after we're down in development, Pennsylvania, and to protect team. I'm just curious, do you feel that disciplinary action is warranted? Are you still able to see out your
Look, I have great confidence in the Secret Service. I've been dealing with it a long time. And I will say that I don't know about the 5 or the 6 agents that you're talking about. I think they're from, for the most part, a different area. But I will say that they learned a lot. And we lost a tremendous person in Corey, as you know. We thought we lost 2 more, and they came back, and they're doing really well. They're doing really well. As you know, we had 2 people that were so horribly injured, nobody thought they could make it. And the doctors up in the area, in the Butler area, these doctors were unbelievable. They stayed here, but these 2 were badly injured. Now they're doing well. But a lot's been learned. A lot's been learned, and it'll make it better, and it'll make it safer. I will say this, that they've never provided us, and I think it came from the White House, they've never provided us with the number of people that we should have had for the massive rallies that we had, like the size of Butler. You saw thousands and thousands of people as far as the eye could see. And I've always said that. I mean, I just felt it. They never gave us the number of people in terms of Secret Service people that were necessary. And yet Biden, who would have 10 people at a rally, was loaded up with Secret Service. So I've complained about that for a long time. They never gave us the number of people necessary. They were working with, and I know requests were made, but they were working for a long time, and a long time without the proper number of people. I've seen that, and just common sense, you could see it. Because we were getting crowds, so we had 107,000 people show up in New Jersey, in Wildwood, New Jersey. We had 88,000 people in South Carolina. We never had the number of people that were necessary to protect somebody, in that, and including the people themselves. So I think they should probably look at that. That came out of Biden's office.
Raymond, like a bunch of moron.
Replacing Joe Biden on the Democratic ticket has thrown you off your green, gone under your skin. What do you say to that?
No, I think we're doing great. I think we're leading. We just had a rescue, so we're up by 5. we're doing, I think, very well. What is unfair is that it's unfair to him, but it's also unfair to me. I was leading by 17 or 18 points after the debate, and they said, he's going to lose. And they went and told him, you're going to lose, we want to replace you. Crazy Nancy Pelosi went in with a group, with Obama, and with others, but they went in with a group and they said, we want you out. And they took him out, and it was a bad thing to do, but also unfair to me. I spent $100 billion fighting against the man that won in their party, and we had a debate, and the debate was good for me, it wasn't good for him. And then all of a sudden they take him out, and they put somebody new in that never got a vote. She didn't get a single vote. He got 14 million votes, she got none. So I'm running against her now. We're up in the polls. We're winning on the swing states, but I've got to meet two people instead of one. That never happened either, so it's not a very fair thing. But I live with it. Yeah, did you have one?
Okay, you think the rank and file of the union of culinary workers are going to peel away from the leadership of Doris Kamala?
I think they're going to peel away and endorse me. I think the culinary union is going to endorse a lot of people. A big percentage of the people will endorse me. They always support at the top level, but they've supported me. I've had great support from culinary. Now with the no tax on tips, I think they're going to be very supportive. Yeah.
You post about women's reproductive rights this morning. What your stance on it?
Yeah, no, very good. I'm very strong on women's reproductive rights. The IVF very strong. With leaders in it. And I think people are seeing that, and votes are being taken, and that's what they wanted for years. For 52 years, they wanted votes to be taken by the states, and they wanted Roe v. Wade to be brought into the states. And it's really happening. It's really happening. We have a situation that for years that whole issue's been tearing our country apart, and now the states will get the vote. And
where is this motherfucker
right now? And they're getting the vote, and they're getting the vote that the people want. They wanted the vote of the people.
Where you at, Jacob Larson?
Like Ronald Reagan, I've gone through it a lot. But you're going to have choice, and you're going to have different things that you can talk about. But when you get into that issue, reproductive rights, I think what we've done is so right. What the Democrats do, take a look at what they're doing. They have the governor of Minnesota has the right to kill a baby after birth. After birth, this isn't abortion. This is after birth because he's got that. And think of it, in Minnesota, he's got that right. And how can you have a right like that? And they're actually the radicals. If you think about it, they're actually the radicals. So we brought something out. Everybody wanted it this way. Everybody felt strongly about it. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody, and every legal scholar wanted it brought back to the states. They brought it back to the states. The states are voting on it right now. A lot of them are voting on it right now. And I must say, Ohio became much more liberal in the sense of that vote. You know that. Kansas, much more liberal. Others, I guess, different. But it brought it back to the people. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted it to remain in the federal government. And it won't be in the federal government. It will never be in the federal government. It will be in the states where everybody wanted it. And if you go back and look back 10 years, 15 years, everybody wanted it. The legal scholars, everybody wanted it, brought it back to the states. And that's where it is. It won't be taken away. They won't be taken away.
President, so a lot Latin people believe in you, and I know a lot of dreamers right now can work legal. What is your plan with that people that right now works illegal in this country because they are
So we're going to have a process to come in. We want people to come into our country, but they have to come in legally. We don't want people that are murderers, that are drug dealers, coming in from jails. We don't want that. We want people to come in, but we want them to come in through a system legally. And we're going to open that system up. We need people. We need workers. We need a lot of people. But we want them to come into our country. But we don't want to come in from the prisons. We don't want gang members that Venezuela gives us the MS-13 gang members. We don't want them.
We don't want that.
Want to earn cryptocurrency? Try Coinbase. Coinbase simplifies buying, selling, earning, and learning about
Also, it's to extend tax cuts along with the corporate rate further. They propose no taxes on security. And they stay together.
Well, I'm reducing taxes, she's increasing taxes, and her increase on corporate taxes, and even businesses like this, it's going to drive businesses into other countries. Because, you know, other countries we have great international corporations. They can go anywhere. They can go into other countries. If they're offered better deals, they'll leave the United States, and that's what she's going to be doing. She'll force businesses, big businesses, to leave with all the jobs and everything else, to leave us, to leave this country and move to Europe and many different places. And they're always fighting for our businesses, and many businesses have left. But we don't want that. And if they charge too much on taxes, these businesses, especially the big ones, they're international businesses, they're going to leave the United States. They lose all the jobs, all the income, and we're going to end up being a third world country. And in many ways, because of the bad job that Kamala's done at the border, she was the border star. Now she's trying to say she wasn't. But she ran the worst operation. I have the endorsement of the border people, the border unions, every law enforcement group, just about in America has endorsement. What she's done on the border is so bad and so dangerous for our country, and it's going to ruin our country. We have to stop. We will have 100 million people come in from all over the world, not just South America. And this country will be a whole different place. It'll be a banana republic, but in many cases, when it comes to elections and borders, it already is.
RFK Jr. has falsely said that the COVID vaccine is the deadliest vaccine ever made. What is your response to that?
Well, I'm going to have to see, because I haven't seen him yet. I haven't seen him in a while. This year for Nevada.
Dodge that. I don't know about that. I'll talk to him later about it. We'll talk about it.
Well, we want to have land so we can have housing built in certain areas like this area. They don't have the housing. And we have so much land, and we want to put it to use. So we're going to have land released, and on that land, we're going to build housing. We're going to have housing built. And it'll be great for Nevada, and it'll be great for other areas.
So between all of that, between lowering the corporate tax rate, extending tax cuts.
Where is this liar? Liar!
That's
on, man.
Trillions of dollars added to that. How do you plan to pay for it?
Growth. We're going to have tremendous growth. You know, you remember when we gave the largest tax cuts ever given, we had a much lower rate, but the following year, we took in more income. With a lower rate, we took in more income. And companies like Apple and others were bringing money in from Europe and other places. They were bringing in billions of dollars that they would have never brought in except for what I did. Also, just getting back to this other question, like Ronald Reagan before him on the abortion question, I happen to believe in exceptions. I think it's very important, but I say to people, you have to follow your heart. But probably you're at 85% of the people that agree with that in terms of just Republicans. But you have the life of a mother, rape, and incest. I happen to believe in the exceptions. I happen to believe also that the Democrats are the radical ones because they will do abortions and approve abortions in the 9th month, the 8th month, and also after birth, which is basically the execution of the baby in some cases. If you look at Minnesota, they have the right to do that. You have a man now who's running for vice president who signed a bill to sell tampons in boys' bathrooms, okay? Not to sell them, to give them. But the exceptions to me is very important. Some people don't agree, but for the most part, they do. I think it's up to probably 85 or 90%. But if you look at the voting, and it's so interesting to see, this issue is tearing our country apart. And it's really not tearing our country apart anymore because now people get to vote, and they get to vote in their state. And for the most part, they believe in the exceptions, and they want the exceptions. It makes it a much easier way. At the same time, you have to follow your heart. You have to do what's right. But we brought it locally. It'll never be in the federal government again. It should have never been there. And again, for 52 years, from the beginning of Roe v. Wade, people have wanted to get it out. And many presidents have tried. They were unable to do it. And I just want to thank 6 very brave and brilliant Supreme Court justices for doing it. It's very good.
CSI 2 will be in Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.
All right.
There it is. We're going to build up again.
Well, the crowd obviously hates you. But anyway, they love you here, Alex. Thank you so much for coming on. We love you here. The crowd loves you. I wanted to get your take. I just saw the new released body cam from Trump's assassination attempt. And did you see that where the one police officer was saying, aren't we all on the same frequency? I warned you, there was a guy up here. How come nobody did anything? Let me just get your take on all that. What do you think actually happened at Trump's assassination?
Well, it was 100% a total stand down on record. We know that now. You have all these coincidences lining up like this. You have the deep state openly saying they want to kill Trump. The fact is their passing failed. So they are just in complete and absolute total panic mode right now and just don't know what's been. But yeah, you had all the other, you have the Secret Service deputy head, who's now the head. First, I was in charge of never sending the actual security team that actually commanded controls the Secret Service and the police. So they didn't send the brain to the operation. And then they left the route completely open. He was running around for 90 minutes. Now all these new videos are coming out, not stuff that came out the day it happened. People saying it was a down on the road. But now he was running around with a gun on the ground, not just a rangefinder. So this guy was totally protected, trained at a major Homeland Security training facility that trains Homeland Security. He was there 40 plus times. So yeah, when you have all these coincidences all lining up the same way, they're not a coincidence.
And so what do you make that they already burned his body?
Yeah, they cremated his body. And notice there were no press conferences about why there was a stand down. There was no press conference about the gun that was used or where he went or for any of it. No, there's anything how big of a press conference that day, the next day, a week later, a month later. Just a total shutdown of info. And the first 8 hours, the media, the control corporate media, was trying to act like that Trump was even shot or wasn't Graves. There was no discussion of the man that was killed, the other wounded. So this is what myself and Better Carlson have said for the last year plus before the assassination attempt, that with all the lawfare and the impeachments and criminal charges and fake conviction and all of it, the next thing on the trajectory of none of it works is killing Trump.
So do you have any inside info on what happened with Biden and his reported medical emergency in Las Vegas?
Well, I was told, Charlie Kirk told the people that I know, like the day it happened, there was a medical emergency, and then weeks later it came out that there was a medical emergency. And then Biden was flown to Delaware for 7-8 days, was seen. And then now he's covered it up and said, well, I saw the letters from Biden, the resignation, that looked like it was from him. Well, it didn't even have a presidential seal, the signature was the same. So it looks to me, and then speculate, that they didn't get into the drugs going on, or they flipped something, he had a real medical emergency area, medical problems, and then they just basically held him until he agreed. So he showed up 7 days later, he kind of shuffled on to Air Force One in Delaware, and they said, well, why don't you stand down? Why are you giving up? And he says, he agreed to it. And now he's done interviews and he's basically forced out by the Democratic Party. So we're talking about evidence of killing the election, all this, you still debate that. You can't debate that Kamala Harris got as many votes in the primary as Trump would go. And so this is bigger than the still nomination from Bernie Sanders in 2016. This is 100% cut and dry. As Naomi Wolf said on my show yesterday, this is an open coup in America. It doesn't matter what party you're in or who you're involved with. This is really the deep state doing all this. It's very, very dangerous.
Hey, if you knew that the Talking to Daily...
I'm fucking hungry. Fucking hungry.
YouTube Premium.
Yeah, we were...
I think I'm gonna get off a little bit. Lord. Be back in a little bit though.